take phys- I'm gonna reread it. The biblical promise that we would rise up as eagles is twisted into promising wings that permit the new human to take physical flight. Generation Y and Z could live forever. At least that is the lie they are being told. Cybernetics and synthetic genomes will soon merge into the sexy cyclone of Battlestar Galactica. The post-human will be beautiful, perfect in form, and capable of superhuman feats, and she will live forever. Ye shall be as gods is the oldest lie, spoken to Adam and Eve by a garden snake long ago. It wasn't a snake, it was the fucking Edomite. It was the spirit of that serpent, who you call the devil, you know what I mean? It was that spirit, you know what I mean? It wasn't actually a snake slithering through the garden. Um, but it echoes once again in the promises to a generation of lost, unhappy youths. The Antichrist will play upon this need for perfection, this constant yearning to become a god. The youth of Hitler's day believed they would join their leader in the coming 1,000 years of Aryan rule over the earth. Is it so far fetched to say that coming evil one foreshadowed by Adolf Hitler will also promise his followers a plum part in his kingdom? Salakia, in his kingdom. Remember this important fact: the Antichrist will claim to be Christ. He will arrive as a peacemaker, as the answer to all of our worldly problems. It is also quite possible that he will claim to be enhanced or transhuman. It might be more accurate to call him a transhuman, for the Antichrist will cast a spell upon today's youth, luring all those who do not call the true Christ their Savior to take a special mark. This might be a chip inserted to the body used to track each person's location, but it may be much more. The mark of the beast might actually rewrite DNA, rewrite genomes. Many of you remember the early days of computers, computing powers, commercially available computers arose about the same time as Watson and Crick's hallmark discovery. The U.S. Census Bureau received the first UNIVAC computer on March 31st, 1951 for a cost of nearly $1 million, and all the government purchased 46 UNIVAC computers, which is remarkable considering that each machine required its own small room. Back then, computer power for those like it floored these monsters paled in comparison when measured against the tiny computer inside your cell phone. God. But in the book of Daniel, it tells you that knowledge is going to increase. You know what I mean? At that time. And like I was just reading, so they were saying they said it's like we in a era where knowledge is increasing like tenfold. So like for every year is like 10 years of knowledge. I mean, I think it's in this book. It just, I mean, when you take the time to look at how like things like exponentially speeded up, speeded up, speeded up. But then at the same time, Esau plays a lot of fucking games. You know what I mean? Like when you take time to look at Star Trek, you know what I mean? And they show how, he beam me up Scotty and he do the doo doo and the phone pop up in it. What is that? Doesn't look like a cell phone. Man, so they probably had cell phones way back then, but I'm sure, I mean, like just like the internet has been around for a long time. They just it took a while for them to release it to public. So that's just like what I heard Apostle Gabar speaking on. You talk about these guys being carnal. And I heard about the Sakari. It's funny because like watching that movie Sicario, you know what I mean? And then he's a Mexican or Colombian or something like that, but he's a hitman, you know what I mean? But that's all based, and then they got like an Israelite, you know what I mean? But people don't even get that though, you know what I mean? But when you go into that whole, well, I ain't gonna say people don't get it. I'm gonna say put it like this: it was revelating when but I would have never knew that if I wasn't in the truth. You know what I mean? At the end, and he was basically trying to take back justice on his own. That's what he was doing. What he's doing. Anyhow, but you know, my point of bringing all that up is to bring up this. Think about that. So if they had cell phones, I mean, the Star Trek came out of like the '60s, early '70s, or something like that. So if they had cell phone technology back then, and you guys are going to, I mean, come on, like right now, you got the money. Shit, it don't even cost that much money, but you can go get something, an AK, and convert it to this and do all that other shit. That's nothing. Like I say, I mean, Apostle Gabar went into about how he had made a video about like the 10 deadliest weapons that Esau and them got. Come on, they got fucking exoskeleton suits, man. Look at here, like they got actual like ray guns and shit. Like this this motherfucker got some shit. When he unveil it, it's gonna fuck you up. You know he gotta have some shit if he weaponized fucking diseases. You know what I'm saying? But just to, I mean, I don't mean to jump around, but just makes you think. Like I said, like those guys are being carnal, trying to take the kingdom for themselves, and you got to take the time to think about it. The Most High put it on their spirit to want to do it though, like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's really deep down just shows you that they were carnally minded anyway. You know what I mean? Like I said, in this walk that we walking, we all slip and fall because none of us on this side are perfect. The one perfect man, has came and he's coming back. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, what's that scripture? A righteous man falls down 7 times. Roughly paraphrasing. Well, point being is the thing is to repent and dust yourself off and try again. At the end of the day, just try to carnally fight this man whose blessing is the same weapon that you try to use. Is that just shows how much how spiritual you're not. You know what I mean? If you know and trust and believe. You know what I mean? Like, because maybe your spirit you're gonna be nervous or worried, or, you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, the your one true defense is the word. You know what I mean? The brother Men of Valor said something. He said he said he used the analogy of Shazam. He said we already got spiritual power. He said like how Shazam say my name and take my power. And he said we got a name of the Yahweh by the Shem Yahweh Shah. So it was deep. You know what I mean? I liked it that though. Computer. I'm sorry. I'm gonna continue. And what is it? In just 50 years, computer technology has advanced incredibly fast. Solid-state hard drives have replaced old magnetic tape, and chips have replaced vacuum tubes. It's very likely that the computer in your head today is flash-based, containing no hard drive at all. Cloud computing will soon mitigate the need for local storage, although for now you can still buy laptops with more than a terabyte of storage. One of the first computers one of these authors had was an old Commodore 128 that had 128 kilobytes of RAM. The laptop I'm using this morning has 6 gigabytes of RAM. Hard disk storage in the old days consisted of raw or read-only memory, which held chips or areas of storage that included operating software that must remain permanently available but rarely or never required update. As computers advanced, floppy disks were added. Most of these disks were write once, which meant data could be written to them only one time. They could not be rewritten. At one time, scientists considered our DNA as read-only memory. The code within each of our cells contains instructions for making the machinery that runs the complex operations that keep us alive. However, beginning in the 20th century, early geneticists discovered a process called recombination that allows the insertion of new genetic material to a cell's genome. Recombination makes gene therapy possible, using a bacterial or viral vector or truck to deliver the new genetic sequence to the target cell. Perhaps in the lungs or muscles, scientists see nothing ethically wrong with editing our God-given genome. They merely see this as another form of self-directed evolution. Of course, one can only begin to edit what one reads first. Enter the Human Genome Project. It might be said that the HGP actually began on December 9th, 1984, when a group of scientists gathered in Alta, Utah ski resort area high up at Watasha Mountains. There, David Smith of the Department of Energy and Mortimer Mendelsohn of Lawrence Livermore Laboratories gathered with 17 genetic scientists to determine whether or not the time might be right to commence serious measurement of the mutation within the human genome. Joining Smith and Mendelssohn were David Malstein, Herbert Branscombe, Charles Cantor, C. Thomas Caskey, George McDonald Church, John D. DeLarthy, Charles Eddington, Raymond Justlin, Leonard Lehman, Michael Goff, John Molaville, Richard Myers, James V. Neal, Maynard, Olson, Edwin Southern, Sherman Wiseman, and Raymond L. White. Of this stellar list of respected names, one stands out: George MacDonald Church. Church is a self-professed transhumanist and author of the recent bestseller Genesis: How Synthetic Biology Will Reinvent Nature and Ourselves. He's a dedicated vegan and entrepreneur, having established 9 genomic-based businesses, including Known Pathogen and Gene Bio, a synthetic biology company, and an avowed transhumanist who would love to see revive Neanderthal, assuming a human female volunteers to be the surrogate mother. This motherfucker say he want to see a revived Neanderthal, assuming a human female volunteer to be surrogate mother. Oh, and by the way, Church was also instrumental in kick-starting the race for the brain. Discussed later in the section. Initially, the author group had discussed finding a reputable and affordable means to qualify mutations within the Hiroshima offspring. Right, because when they dropped them nuclear bombs, it was a lot of mutations. You know what I mean? And you can look that up for yourself. Like, I'm not on the internet now, so this phone I have to get off a hotspot, get on a hotspot to the internet. But so that DNA has changed already, and that just show you how how the apostles what they speak on as far as Esau being a mad scientist, and that's kind of sick though. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you want to fuck with that? I mean, why would you want to fuck with some? Eh. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's ultimately the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. You know, what I mean, you know. So uh, maybe I should start right there. Yeah, I'm gonna start right there. You know, but so just showing you Esau's mindset. You know what I mean? Like, this, if that motherfucker ain't the devil, this motherfucker don't want to give you real food. He want to make some kind of organism and say, "Here, this food, eat that." While they eating the real food. Now, if that the fucking devil, it's all right, man. Like I said, Prison Planet for real. I got that from Alex Jones, bitch ass. Yeah, that's why he ain't got no show no more. Well, he probably got another show. They put him on a pedestal, built him up, and then broke him down. And that's deep too because like I said, I was just listening to somebody. I think it's the brother in Kansas City. He was saying how they about to try to start regulating the internet with talk about as far as that algorithm that they got, where like say for instance, I do a video, or I like to watch certain videos, and then they'll recommend certain videos where they're about to try and stop. It's basically coming down to the family of the word. You know what I mean? This is not by coincidence. Just like it wasn't by coincidence that they took Alex Jones' show. But at the end of the day, like I said, for a man that's trying to deal with the Most High, or not trying to, that's walking the walk that the Most High has set for us to walk, you should see, you know, things should be lining up and things should make sense. I mean, like, it's not far fetched, Yeah, yeah, they best believe, like I said, like the spirit really dealing with Apostle Tahar. It's a beautiful thing because, like I said, so that lets me know that, man. I mean, I don't care what nobody else said anyway, but, at the end of the day, it just is a beautiful thing, you know, because, you can clearly see that things are about to speed up with this chip. And for him just to deem it like that, like, that's a beautiful thing. Whew. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Waha, Racha, Kodash, Rakatha. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and sincerity and risking their lives and freedom to do so. Shalom to the Akwath and the Akim out there listening and learning. Hopefully this lesson was somewhat edifying. And Adonai Ratazah, I can come at you with another edifying lesson soon. Until then, Shalom, Shalom, and Abad Babal.